Okay, welcome everybody. Tonight's committee meeting. Okay. Maybe I'd just like to add the chip seal update that's coming. We'll leave it like that. If everybody's in that format, we'll move on to,
Yeah, regarding the conflict of interest, I was just wondering about this. I saw a line item on the agenda regarding my parents' place.
right,
But I was just wondering, I was asking about somebody, the point of order was that by declaring that was required, there was a rule around that, because this is something about that letter. The letter affects a lot of different property owners, not just me, and not just affects a lot of different property owners, right?
right.
It's not just like a thing that's sort of, you know, I know that I may have what maybe, and that being declared, I don't know whether or not that means that I have to leave all the conversation regarding the matters being had, but that it's a little bit kind of, it's awkward, it's uncomfortable. It's one of those things where it's like I'm an adult enough to be able to separate those issues in my brain, right? And I was reading up on that, on the call. Your train of gravity makes sense because, hey, I know what's being, but it's enough for me to refrain from voting on the matter, isn't it? Like now, how do I find out what the discussion was? Am I just not privy to any of the discussion now regarding that subject? And I'm just not privy to that anymore?
Yeah.
I'd like to find out, you know, that's what I mean. It's like talking about you behind the back kind of thing. And you're right. It's just, I don't think it is. From everything that I've read, basically says that you declare a conflict of interest, doesn't have to leave the discussion take place.
Getting a bit of an informal guidance from our lawyer at Gilbert, just to address the points so that it'll be better to hear it from the lips of the lawyer than from me. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so, and I can't actually tell you to leave the room as even the chair of the meeting. It's simply, it was just something I was kind of alerting you to, the possibility, but yeah. And the fact whether you have to leave the room or not, there's some wording in the Conflict Act about withdrawing from the meeting, which leaves it open and fall in these certain categories. So I think it's just better if we get the advice and we'll pass that along to you, and it's just useful.
Yeah, I like this because it's kind of, I felt like it's something that needed to be ironed out.
Yeah.
Because I still feel that as though there's still matters to be considered that are within my purview that I can act impartially on without, and declare my conflict of interest if it exists. Right? And that's the honor, and that's the actual trust, that this is a position of trust, and that's part of it. Right? Is that you have an interest, you'll declare your conflict, and the people know that, you know, look, I'm this is, you know, I'm in conflict here, or whatever. But it doesn't mean that you just, anyway, so thank you, John, for I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing that.
Okay. So now on our delegations. Yes.
On the agenda item, there is an item which has something to do with exactly the issue. So, if he doesn't get the advice, what's his position right now? There is no any clear conflict, or he doesn't do it, right?
That was kind of what I was wondering, whether or not that was what I was kind of curious about. So I guess I have to just, you know, act in ignorance at this point. Wash my hands of
Let
this.
me ask, yes, Joe, if we did receive anything back from the lawyer.
No, we have,
No.
hopefully we'll get something this week for next week's meeting.
Right.
But as I give an opinion, this is just my opinion, I could be wrong. I think because he declared an interest in the first one, I believe that he should on this occasion. position as well, just to be consistent.
Until we get further.
Until we get, yeah.
Because there's issues of, as you say, a community of interest. You're part of a community of interest, people who own property down in that area. But it's a very small community of interest. I don't know how many people are land and property owners down there, but it's probably not that many. And that has some bearing on it. Like if I was voting on some street improvements in Fort Simpson and I was one of 3 people who lived on that street, it would start to become something that, more than everyone else in the community. I'm not voting on tax rates, which I might be part of a residential group, which is, a third or fourth or half the community. So the size of the community of interest has a factor.
Yeah, but abstaining from that decision at that point is the action, right? If there's a real conflict of interest in that situation and you don't vote on it, and you don't even say anything or whatever, you don't, I guess like you said, that's the correct clarification. I'm cool with it. That's something that I would like a little clarification on.
The reason it's probably a bit of a gray area, but it's probably safe. You think you are in conflict, there's a good chance everyone will see it as a conflict. Then it's a decision, do I want to be seen as potentially being in conflict, or should I just remove myself and everyone's safer? Because facial expressions, things like that that are, and we're on a camera, if people are being affected even by your body gestures, when they're making comments, almost be said that you're somehow trying to influence other people's discussion. And again, that's potentially like as if you were still in the meeting. And it says withdraw from the meeting. So, if you can sit there and not make any facial expression or eye contact, it's almost like that, because if somebody feels that's why they say it's better to leave the room, just so there's no stuff, right?
Like, I know the difference between a conflict, a real conflict, and an imagined conflict, are 2 different things. And regarding just like like as a ratepayer, taxpayer involved too, who are maybe not being represented, who maybe perhaps have not been represented by a councillor. Is there another councillor? That's what I'm trying. That's the point I'm trying to get at. That's the point that you objected to but that's like that's control, right? There's other people who can. They don't. Right? There's other people who can. They don't even. Well, it's like people say, well, you're on council. You're not getting paid, right? You're volunteering for merit. What are you getting out of it? People say, well, you're on council. You're not getting paid, right? You're volunteering for merit. What are you getting out of it? Right? Conflict of interest or whatever, right? And then there's, what are you getting out of it? And so there's this question, where is it then? And it starts begging these questions, right? Does this make sense? Does this make sense for me? If I have a liability, right, and get sued by this organization, if I have a liability, right, and get sued by this organization, if I have no chance of being rewarded, at all, either financially or, to me, that's a real conflict.
Deputy Mayor.
We're on this subject for 10 minutes. We still need to approve our agenda. We're going to make sure none of us get in trouble, so we need to check that out first. And what I heard, we're waiting for a legal opinion.
No decision.
Well, let's put it members of these societies, when people were voting, just when I first meeting, there was talking about as a conflict of interest. It's a stretch, just like it's a stretch, and that's why they didn't recuse themselves and voted and approved of major expenditures. They'd be perceived there, right? There's all kinds of things. There's a gray area. So I'm looking forward to hearing what the lawyers says to us. Because I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, because I'd like to bring on our delegates, Matt McKelligot, Fontaine. Is that a hyphenated name, or is that his company name? Is that his company name? Fontaine?
Fontaine.
Fontaine?
Community plan,
Updates, but he wants to discuss, I guess, the survey that he's developed here, and let us know what he's.
Or is he looking to do this for us?
He's been hired.
He's been hired.
He has a contract.
they were due to be in town.
I believe,
This came in originally.
I don't
It's going back a little while.
yeah, because we definitely passed a resolution to award the contract.
Yeah.
The engagements, the deliverables were all. Hi, Matt, Sean Lilly here, Fort Simpson, how are you?
Good, how are you, Sean?
Not too bad. We're just trying to get the sound right here for you. If you're having to broadcast from a cell phone, yeah.
Sure.
Oh, there we go, I just didn't have the button on it. So I don't know if you'll hear an echo or something with yourself.
I mean, so far so good.
Okay. All right, so, I know we got a copy of the survey from you, and that, this is probably part of the community engagement that you want to do as part of the all our counselors except for one,
Okay.
two, so two missing. We got the left there, sitting at one, and Troy Belfontaine, Randy Simpson, as well.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, just give us.
Meeting with council to be, but we do what we can. Obviously we were very, very excited about this project. And actually we were making some grounds to, start to fulfill some of the first steps of course, this pandemic came about and kind of and then as time kind of lapsed, I was in constant contact with Daryl, who's been my primary contact. And then eventually, I think we just came to the realization that, the world must go on, and I think we need to do what we can to advance the file, knowing that, of course, a fulsome and more traditional sense, but there are some things that we can do in the interim that I think, are really great ideas. And the project. So, I guess in consultation with my own far, given that first community visit, and of that first community, and so I did develop this community survey, which I was looking for feedback from Daryl, and I think he just said, okay, well, let's just get it over to council and generate that discussion. So I'm excited about the project. And I look to council, of course, I look to village staff for some direction and some assistance, but I guess in essence, we want to get this going just as much as you do, and this is an important thing that we could address in addition to the community survey. The additional studies and demographic additional studies and demographic posts, do some minor engagement things, including that survey. Having actually probably a bigger introductory meeting with council to kind of go over, the purpose of the projects and timelines, maybe in the fall. And then for us to start drafting the background report, preparing a communication plan, doing some project branding. So I guess these are the types of things that I think we can do. So I think I'm not just have to say right now. It's not as fun staring at people in the bedroom here, but I guess I'm here, and obviously we're excited about the project, and we want to get this.
Just looking around the room, did you see the survey? Are you thinking that council would kind of sit down and come up with the
to reach out to members or things like Facebook pages. I think we can use the tools that we have in order to kind of generate other communities. We're doing this with other official plan updates in other communities. Doing like a public meeting on Zoom or another forum, similar forum. It's not as engaging and maybe not as popular, but we could cross that bridge when we get to it if that's the desired by the survey. Helpful, and I think it will be able to not only council and village staff, but I think just the wider community. So yes, reach out to as many people as possible. And so I guess my question to yourself and to council would be, what mediums would be the best to do so?
Facebook?
Yeah.
A lot of people in Fort Simpson are on Facebook, so if they had a link to I think I'd like to see all the leaders, the councils of the Métis Council and the Band Council invited to specifically participate in it. We're really like a tri-part governance community here where three governments work together. And
right.
So I don't want this to be seen Village of Fort Simpson's plan for Fort Simpson. I really want it to be everyone's plan for the Village of Fort Simpson, simply guided by the village, but not directed by us. We certainly have some ideas like everyone else, but
I'm glad to say that. Actually, that was something that I was going to mention, and I think that makes have more fulsome engagement with those councils as well. But I guess, given my contacts are with the village staff, I would look to them or, whatever it is so that we can reach out to the Métis Council and Council when it's appropriate, when we've kind of finalized this survey. But I'm really happy that you mentioned that because I completely agree. I think as many people and groups as possible.
And some of the demographic information seems like it'd be enough for people to fill in. I'm not sure how many people will be able to get through all of these questions and keep their attention on it. Of course, we're interested. The average citizen sort of maybe not as much. I wonder if there should be like two surveys, sort of one for the public that's a little community and perhaps certain groups as well that are we can invite representative. I mean, I don't know, two minds there. We don't want to short circuit the system for people either. Maybe we could try it and see how many, what kind of update we can get on this survey to start. And if it's too long, or people start saying, well, that's just too much information, we will accept it in whatever form it comes, allowed to just give us back something. We will accept it in whatever form it comes, type of thing.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's the way to do it, I guess. Yeah, and I think maybe that's the way to do it, I guess. And the silver lining, let's say, of this current situation is that I guess we have time right now, right? And maybe try to shorten some of the questions, or maybe you can get rid of some of them altogether. I think that comment is get rid of some of them altogether. Comment is you know, absolutely legitimate, and try to make it as concise as possible. But yeah, I mean, perhaps what we do is try to finalize this version of the survey and then post it for a period of. Also, I mean, the beauty is people are spending more time in front of their computer screens, I guess, right? Not interacting with people, unfortunately. That tends to be what's happening these days.
Councilor Monson Son would like to ask a question, and I might have to, where is it here? Go ahead, Monson.
In fact, it's a community plan, it's a community planning, I believe. If we have time to read it as a council, and if you can share it with the LKM, and usually there are some details that we go through. I might know something, other people might know other things. For example, here, for the first paragraph, first line, which is the first question. Usually, the common age of the adults is little less. So usually less than 19, those are categories because they are still under guardianship or under responsibility of their parents. But when they reach 19 and over, that's so these kind of small things, I think we check it, study it, and share it with the community members, other than the community, the LKFM, the AG, and even the DMN. Facebook, or we can decide whether we can get it or not. Thank you.
Just to get people used to seeing what kind of things are dealt with in the community plan. These are the things we can change.
There's certainly an education to it, absolutely, and you know, I think that's probably a good idea. I think, you know, particularly people gravitate. So would you suggest, or suggest the existing community plan on like a Facebook page, or is that the suggestion? And then just to kind of give people like a flavor of where the village is looking to update their planning documents, because you know the existing one is outdated, and this is the existing one, and you know.
And we're not taking it with the survey. And then maybe we just ask them, what is the best way? Like, we want to update this, we want to get community feedback. What do you think? And that will be more control from the start. You know, even telling them this is the way they'll all guide it themselves, and maybe we'll get more people interested that way. You sort of feel as though you're gets lost in the majority crowd right away, and so I like the idea that everybody has a chance to voice their concerns or hopes and dreams and things like that in a survey if it's loose enough to allow for that. And some people may just want other ways of saying things. There's a lot of speech makers in Fort Simpson, I noticed, over the years. Yeah. Allowing that online meeting forum or, but, for some, it would be a way of doing things. We can have 25 people in our, give us little talks, would be another venue. But I know the survey that, well, you got into questions, right? I'm just setting this up, so I got to start. I like that suggestion from Councillor Hassan. We explain the importance of the community plan for a community, perhaps. Then we post the plan. You can kind of highlight. There's many things about how you can plan your community to be in 20 years that really comes from the community plan. And so yeah, it's more than maps and drawing subdivisions out. It's like, how do we want to live here? How do we want to share our community?
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of, the purpose of the survey, like that's what it's trying to achieve. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I mean, I'm happy, again, I'm happy to take the lead in whichever, route, you'd like to go. So I guess, I'll leave it to yourselves to let me know how, you'd like to proceed. If it's posting something, just what's the purpose of the community plan, and why is it important? I mean, I could prepare a bit of a blurb on that, and then we could post it on, online you post the zoning bylaw. I don't want to read through that, to be honest. No one's interested in going through that, it's a pretty boring document.
Yeah.
The community plan has more, interesting policies to it, let's just put it that way, but also, that's a tough one to get through as well. So that's, I mean, again, I'm looking for direction, so I'm happy to do, what it takes, obviously.
I wonder if there's, Matt, a way a community plan that became a success over 10 or 15 years. To say, well, the reason that we're doing this, and one your community was looking to do, for 15 years, rather than just all ad hoc decisions. And maybe it's true because we've got zoning regulations about that, and the way we want houses to be built and where we want it, and then people get excited. They don't realize they had a chance a long time ago to decide how they want.
What year is it going to go for the next 20 years, is it? And another plan presented to them, two different plans presented to them. Do the survey, get some kind of feel as to what the community is. And maybe then the First Nations and the Métis will start working with them.
Yeah, well, she's saying that, let's overthink it, sort of. Let's just
Let's get moving.
advise that there is a new plan in the making here, and we're looking for as much input as we can. Get the survey out, just sort of work from there, and we'll have people look at it clause by clause, and get everybody in town all worked up and confused about an old plan, because it's going to be a new plan.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, that actually sounds good too, but, okay, and I got.
Not much change in Simpson, we might have the same plan, but regarding the implementation of the plan, whether or not we can concentrate on looking at the old plan, revising the old plan, based on a new survey, and then developing a more detailed work plan or a method. Because that's very often a problem. There's not a detailed enough work plan to accompany it. So the people who have is to take to actualize to reach those goals. So photographs of the ground truth, high quality maps, which to use to engage in our land use planning process. This ensure that finding out whether or not we can make sure.
Okay, well, Councilor Sim actualize the comments, because that's, what's the plan for doing that?
Well, I was wondering, how's the plan going to come true? Plans are beautiful, to have beautiful dreams, but making the plan come true requires planning. That's part of the planning that takes the nitty gritty, where the rubber hits the road is an actual work plan. So I'd like to know if this plan. Okay, thank you very much, Kevin. I'm just, hello, Matt, my name is Randy. I'm just concerned with the plan, those targets that were in that plan were actually achieved, and to see, where to progress report, as it were, to see, what was in this community plan, how we realize it through this process, and in reaching the community plan that we're engaged in. To know that it's actually realistic, there's a realistic work plan attached to it. Because I've been involved with a lot of organizations where they do a lot of planning, highly detailed ground truth photographs, aerial photographs, that can be used to do this, to conduct this planning process, because the quality of the information that you have access to could affect the quality of the final product. So I'm just trying to make sure that we can make sure that you have the best maps and the best tools available in order to do the job that you need to do. So it's just three points that I want to bring up.
Okay. Well, thank you for your comments. I don't have many comments to say in response, but certainly, reviewing the existing plan and understanding just high level, vision statement, goals and objectives, and speaking with council, getting that, we reevaluate some of those goals, visions, and objectives, to see if, those are still, I guess, stand the test of time, right? So, of course, the existing plan is something. There's some emerging new policies that would, mention, including some, for example, environmental or potentially some heritage issues that we wanted to address through the policy document. Our two-way street, of course. Obviously, there needs to be buy-in from everyone, and including council, in order to make this a success. So I understand what you're saying, but absolutely rest assured, a good basis of the plan would be to review the existing plan and in consultation with yourselves, understand what makes sense. Kind of speaks to your first question. I guess your second one related, or your comment related to LiDAR images and mapping. I guess we kind of rely on MACA and their mapping to, and I think it's actually quite good, to tell you the honest truth. So, unfortunately, we don't have the funds or the resources to go out and do our own LiDAR. If it doesn't exist, but I think we'll find some good resources in terms of what's out there and what's already. Does that make sense?
Right? Usually there are 5-year plans.
Yeah, well, I actually reviewed your strategic plan. Again, it's pretty high. I understand, it's relatively new strategic plan, right? Yeah. And I believe that. So, effectively, we would be, lining up with one of the strategies outlined in this. For example, I know that, if I recall, there was the development of a recreational plan, which is always important in all communities, and opportunity to really review everything, including, assets, what their recreation children. A policy that says a playground must be 50 to 75 meters of dwelling. Because we want to ensure that those types of infrastructure are readily available for residents. That's just one. What the survey will try to flush out some of and I just in speaking of the survey, I have been in touch with development officer Norman Wells because I know this process as well. I'm not sure what kind of relationship you have with. In speaking with Joanie Lapierre, they had a big success with the survey. They had about, they had at least 100 submissions on their survey, which was, so survey was an effective tool to gain feedback in the absence of, community meetings and the community, so.
Yeah, so that seems to me to be a good plan. We'll give a little blurb to on Facebook about why we're doing it, what the reason for a community plan is, and how we want the community to put back using the survey, and that it's just first step, and we'll be coming back to the community as we proceed, engaging with other groups, so nothing's final until let them step forward. The Deputy Mayor, Celine, I'll just bring the phone over here. Hold on.
Matt?
Hi.
Hi. I just want to go back to Moz, was not clear, actually had said, Moz, did you say that you wanted the council to meet again to discuss this further?
I said 2 days ago. If that's what I meant.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with that, Councilor Moz. I want to know, within the survey, is there a reason you don't have health center and schools in your survey?
No, I don't think there was I guess I didn't actually hear the other councilors' comments just before we kind of. Is it possible to just repeat what he said?
Moz wants to know.
Sorry. Oh, no, yes. My comment, the first one was about the category of the age, which was like first, second question of me was 19 and under, and then other categories. And that was because the common age in the elderly is 19. So if we add 19 years old to 16 years old, it's a different category completely. That's one. The second one was the second question. It's not a question. It was an idea that we shared this with the local organizations here, the LKFN community, so we can get input. And in the meantime, most of the councils here definitely they have their own comments on this survey, and it's like the Deputy Mayor was mentioned on her comment about the health. So we can review it and then submit our comments to the SAO, then it can be reviewed. I'm just going to add additional one which is, because I won't have a chance to talk again. The additional one is wherever we put it, but we have to know that some of the community members, and we value the input, they might not even use the internet. Some of them, they might not have faith. So, and if definitely we are not going to fill up the forms, or people are going to fill up. So we shall our comments, and we'll submit it.
I agree with your comments on the Canadian census. So, of course, categories that the census uses, so it's just trying to align a little bit more with that. We can change the age range if you'd like. Again, I absolutely intentional to leave out anything about the health center, but if there's questions to be asked about the health center, then by all means, I'm happy to add that in. And then just with regards to privacy, I just want to clarify something. I think there would be a link, let's say, on completely anonymous. So privacy would be main. I think we would be asking for people's names in the survey. So no way of keeping a roll of people's names. So I think that's clarified for people before they click on the link. But rest assured that privacy would be maintained absolutely. And that's a fair question.
Some people, they don't use the internet, so how we have the input?
I'm really glad. My next question for him was that I think he needs to hire some local people to do the survey for him, for those people that don't have internet, and I don't have it. If they have other people in town that are experienced in completing the survey and they know about confidentiality.
One thing I want to point out that, again, it's not going to be the only way we receive feedback. Of course, when we're allowed to travel within Canada, we're very excited to meet with everyone in public meetings, meet with different last staff. And I understand not everyone's going to fill out, and we can provide our own email addresses. So there's lots of different ways we can do it, and I guess it's just being open to new ways given the situation.
Yeah, just a real quick add-on there, Matt. The reason that the deputy asked about the health center, a new health center, even though almost every other community in North got one. So we're on the capital plan of the Northwest Territories government somewhere, a vacant piece of property adjacent to the school and potential burial grounds and things, and so there was issues at the time. I don't know even if they've all been resolved yet. And but that's why that question. Community going down the road, if we could all agree or come.
One thing I will say, my years of experience is that I'll integrate that feedback into kind of drafts, and then of course I'll take you to give you the final. Of course, it'll be you could go live. Of course, it'll be you could go live. But we'll one step at a time. Let's get the feedback and make the changes to the survey. In the meantime, if you wanted me to prepare just like 2 or 3 sentence blurb on the community plan update and why it's important,
Yeah.
I can do that and send it over to. I guess I can send it over to Ben and update and why it's important.
Yeah.
I can do that and send it over to. I guess I can send it over to Ben and Kevin and Daryl, who could forward it on to whoever needs to, post it on, hey everyone, this is what's happening in your community, look for ways to provide feedback, and, that's that'll be the extent to it. Just for now, just to kind of give people a little bit of and then in the interim, so they, again, it was under different circumstances. I wish I were there. And I look
ever been to Fort Simpson?
No, but it's, you know, even before this, it was high on my list.
Okay, well, maybe you still get a chance. Look at lots of YouTube videos so you get a good idea of what's around here. You get a good idea.
I have been, and it's, so I'm pretty bummed that, I can't be there, in person. Let me just put it that way.
Okay, well, hopefully you'll
That way.
Okay, well, hopefully you'll make it up, hopefully, but, yeah.
Eventually, we will. I think.
Okay, well, thanks again, Matt, and you have a good evening.
Away.
Yeah, right on. Okay, well, thanks again, Matt, and you have a good evening.
You too. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, see you later. Okay.
Where's he calling from?
613, is that BC?
No, 613 is Ontario.
Ontario. Okay.
Where's he calling from?
613, is that BC?
No, 613 is Ontario.
Ontario. Okay.
That's,
But you know, it's that type of process. But you know, it's that type of process, right, where he's not influencing how this turns out. It's us. So he's got a framework for how to develop a community plan. He's experienced that. And that's why it's not critical that he comes here. I guess it's nice that he could, if he could come and hear things for himself, but that's just impossible. Yes, Councillor Hassan. Yes, Councillor Hassan.
Thank you. An opinion than Mr. Mayor. You know, when I want to develop any plan for any community, I have to know the community. So I cannot develop a plan for a town in northern BC or southern BC when I don't know southern BC when I don't know. For him individual to be really accurate on the findings of the survey, you have to know exactly. We have few months that we don't have a road. We have few months that we use the helicopter. We have sometimes that the water level goes down. So we have few months that we use the helicopter. We have sometimes that the water level goes down. So that affects. This is a social economic survey. It helps us in the future. So I believe we should find a way to invite them, whatever it is. We have to do a good job to find a way that him or another person to come to Fort Simpson to see what Fort Simpson is. I cannot develop a plan when I'm here and someone is somewhere else. So that's my own opinion. I agree with it's all his questionnaire is really good, but it's lacking the knowledge. And honestly, here if you don't know this area, you cannot at all have an involvement plan. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, more than what would normally be the case because just not aware. Look, that's the thing about the community health center. I mean, that's a big issue in land planning around. And as you mentioned, other just the conditions we live in and just the dynamics of the community. It's those things are not always expressed to somebody who hasn't been here, but we're gonna have to try for now.
Realize the hub of all smaller communities.
And that too, yeah, we have certain servicing them, administrative center and everything. So We'll proceed down there and, we'll get a little more feedback on the questionnaire. Have to have another meeting just specifically on that, so if everyone can review that questionnaire, come up with thoughts, that we can get a little feedback and pass it, then and see what happens. Okay, Councilor Simpson.
I'm just wondering if I can get a copy, like a hard copy of the community plan, so that I can start to look at it and just have time, my spare time to read through it and start to familiarize myself with the document. Read through it and start to familiarize myself with the document. Yeah, you're on the website. You got an extra spare copy? Okay, super. I really appreciate that.
Okay, well, moving along, reports and discussion matters, fire buffer zone, UT properties, we've been talking about that. I just want to update you on one little thing, properties, we've been talking about that. I just want to update you on one little thing there. Got a call from, Matthew Bois, forest officer, ENR, Fort Simpson today, and we are going to be getting a contribution agreement in order to do some fuel reduction in the highest priority areas of wildfire risk, identified in our wildfire protection plan. I think the amount mentioned was 50,000. I don't know if that will be the final number or not, but they're looking to get that contribution agreement to us here shortly. So they're offering their expertise to assist in carrying out the work, which they see happening later in the fall. And we'll be putting on the contract or getting whoever it is that we want to do the work with their help. Yeah, Councilor Simpson.
Just regarding, in regards to reducing to clearing land, to reducing fire hazard in an area, clearing with a D6 in February is the cheapest way to do it. It was recommended to me from my uncle's a friend who was a cat skinner. I cleared 5 acres like that in February last year. I went and looked at the logs that are laying down in the windrows. They're just neatly stacked in rows like this, going all the way down. And I went and looked at the timber that's laying in them, and it's not even dirty. It was cushioned by the snow when it fell down, so the limbs are not even broken. And I've seen a lot of messy jobs done with heavy equipment. I've seen lots of messes made, big tangled messes in the bush, big windrows sitting there rotting. I've seen. This is what I'm recommending right now, for $50,000 to even make a dent in the problem that we've got here. It's going to have to be done with the highest efficiency, and that is to do it with a D6 and roll over it in December, January, February, whenever the ground is frozen and it's protected. And then when the roots come up, they come up clean and there's no dirt on them. So you can still go out and salvage the fire without getting your chainsaw out. Those are the practical considerations in fire, because I've done a lot of different ways. I've used the D6 in the summer, I used the D6 in the fall, I used the D6 in the winter. We've cleared by hand, we've done everything. Everything. Absolutely every type of clearing and brush and fire reduction you can imagine. I've done it personally. Falling, knocking down big trees, I've been doing it for years, and that's what I do. So that's why I'm explaining right now that in order to make that, you don't want to have it in the hands of the government. Otherwise, they'll waste the money and they'll make a big mess of it.
Yeah, no, the 50 will be up to us how to spend it. But let's wait to see that contribution agreement.
There it is.
It's coming. So that's good news, I guess.
Is that as a result of us arguing about it and talking about the taxation and stuff like that? Is that what we netted out of it?
Don't know.
Maybe.
Never know.
Could be.
To highlight those kind of situations, right? And those kind of situations, right? And they are give credit, there's a move to get some money to us, and we're doing the partnership, so. Maybe we'll just, that's a little forward news on that. This taking over private road, taking care of actually more information from administration tonight to start talking about that, because there were a few things we were looking for. Maybe input, the condition of the road as compared to what a village standard. Condition of the road as compared to what a village standard might be. Standard, just ideas of cost of maintenance on the road, given its current condition. Do we have enough equipment? Given its current condition, do we have enough equipment to undertake the road? Is MACA going to give us additional funding under the formula funding if we take on so many kilometers of extra roadway? Just uncertainties that we're not sure of. So I don't see the point of discussing that too much more tonight. That kind of concrete information. I'm all in favor of taking over roads to make sure that citizens paying taxes get better services. They're paying taxes for a reason, because they're getting services. And if they're getting services, and if they're not getting equal service, you want to try to do what you can. So we'll take a look at it. But I just think the councilors need more information. I don't think that's available right now. But we're working on it, right? There's some areas there that we may be able to. Our engineer even that's here working for Dylan. Take a look at the road, give us some idea of the condition of the road and what they see as issues or non-issues. It'd be good to hear it from the engineer. Just basic things like what's the distance, what's our capacity to hit that road with a grader, do we have the right equipment? Okay, tipping fees and issues. I think this was Councillor Hassan brought this up last meeting. So we do have a copy of our landfill tipping fees and service charges. And Councillor Hassan, did you want to make note of any of these?
I just have a question in regards to the tipping fees for, because I noticed that for dumping vehicles, if you want to get rid of a vehicle, how much is it? And requirement that people have to drain the oils and take the battery and whatever the requirements that's not in our policy or not in our bylaw. How is that? The reason that it came up because last week or 2 weeks ago, in fact, we're doing some construction at our building here, and we were getting rid of the old lights which show us in the building. And when we went there, we got to know that we have to take off the ballasts of the light fixtures. So the idea is before, like, I think 25 years ago, those ballasts used to have a harmful element in them, but not anymore. And it still is not in our Bible what's going on in regards to this kind of thing. I just want just want it to be clear for the public. If we don't have a bylaw, if we don't have regulations, if we don't have policies, we have to update our bylaw in this issue. Thank you.
Okay, and I actually see now, is there another page of fees that's attached to this?
I don't notice that page two, we have, heavy trucks and vans, $150, light vehicles and buses, $150, sorry, appliances, free price, wash. Of any bylaw that actually stipulates, that the oil should be drained, maybe it's a policy from, a policy that was put in place, but not actually a bylaw.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it might be something, an optional thing where the village, if you bring it there, they'll drain it, and bring it there, they'll drain it at cost. You know, if you don't do it yourself, then you pay the village, and they get a mechanic or somebody to do the draining. If we're trying to dispose of those vehicles, I think that is something that makes it easier for these recycling guys to do, is pick the vehicle up and crush it if there's no oils in it. They're more likely to do that if we can tell them all the vehicles have the oils drained. Yes, Councilor Saab?
Thank you. If I'm paying a tipping fee, why am I bothering myself? I'm paying the village tipping fee.
Have the oils drained. Yes, Councilor Saab?
Thank you. If I'm paying a tipping fee, why am I bothering myself? I'm paying the village tipping fees for dumping a vehicle. Why for the tipping fees to get the mechanic, and it's not my responsibility as a resident.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know that, well, with the vehicles, the steel, we ended up getting rid of it for free. But other than it took up space in our landfill for a number of years, when eventually it came back, the recyclers came and took it for free. So, really, what is the cost of the vehicle to the village? If eventually someone could take it for free, other than they might have to drain the oil. In this case, the guys that came did that themselves. But yeah, if you're paying $250 for a pickup truck, why are you paying $250? I guess. That's your question? Councilor Saab?
Thank you. Excuse me. Not only that, you know, there is another, you know, usually when people dump vehicle there, they just drop them and something, like if I need fuel, sometimes people need fuel, need something small, and they go to the dump and they get it. If they able to also kind of organize these vehicles for say 3, 4, 5 months before we take them to a different, lift it up and jack it up on docks or whatever, and people can get use of whatever for whatever. This is not them all over each other. So I don't know, this is also one of the reasons that I know this issue to the table. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a thought. Okay, Councilor Simpson?
I was just gonna add to that, just to say that in, I had found out that the government in Great Britain passes laws protecting consumers against poorly made products. You know, I know that this is how they chose to deal with their land regulating, that you're not allowed to import junk into Britain anymore. Products that they're buying have to be made to a higher standard, and that's how they manage. That's part of their waste management, right? That was just something that came up from my mind, just to show you how far behind in the world we are. We call ourselves a first world country, but we're not at all. Like our administration and all that is basically in the dark ages compared to these other organizations who are able to actually protect it. These other organizations who are able to actually actually protect the people that they're supposed to. But this is so the other thing is that with regards to recycling, we're in a very remote location. It's a long ways away from anywhere. And recycling sometimes is no option. Sometimes I have to go to get a part out of the dump. I can't find it anywhere. You can't find it, I don't find it there. You know, it's amazing what you can actually find, you know, at the dump, like by, bicycles, for instance. Last year, I found a couple of bicycles there. They were in perfectly serviceable condition. I just picked them up, put them in my truck. I didn't even have to pump the tires. I just put them on and started riding them away. They weren't broken. They're still good bikes. There are two good bikes there. So I know what you're saying, right? Well, it's a resource for people who are living very far away from the cost, a long ways away from anywhere. And so if any organization of the dump is very important, right? The organization of it so that it can be picked over safely, so that people don't have to climb around on piles to try to get parts and stuff, just to give them a chance to give consideration to those people who might need to recycle parts and organize the waste management so that they can.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that makes sense. The vehicles are, a few feet apart on blocks, leave them like that for a year. And then take them, whatever's left of them, and throw them in, the old, take them, throw them, crush them, and stack them. But, give people a chance, people get what they need off of them. It's less metal to have to remove out of the community. It's a service to people who need spare parts. And we're doing one of the 3 R's there, right? Recycle, reuse.
Right.
Yep. Councilor Lafferty?
I'm wondering what happens to the TVs when they go to the dump?
You don't,
I'm wondering what happens to the TVs when they go to the dump?
they're supposed to go to the recycling depot now. I think you can drop them off for free. Go to the recycling depot now. I think you can drop them off for free.
I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of trucks and everything.
Yeah, computer screens, TV, government does do it through their recycling depot.
And you see a lot of computers, laptops, printers, stuff.
So yeah, a little updating. It'd be nice if we could come up with a system, I guess, that identifies. Updating. It'd be nice if we could come up with a system, I guess, that identifies what the cost of vehicles would be, and is it enough? Is it too much gathered for removal of the community when the time comes? I don't know what the space requirements are for town, but we're really tight for space to spread these vehicles out a bit. I know what Councillor Hassan says, they're all kind of piled up really close together, some of our chip companies on their vehicles. It's not a great place to go to get a spare part. And I don't know why that's done exactly. Councillor Hassan?
I know the village doesn't have a mechanic to do the oil drain of oil and gas and whatever. Contracted, we have mechanics in the community here, we have shops here, we contract this out, I'm paying for, I'm paying. In addition to that, this issue, I don't want to make it long, I think we should think about it and bring it back to the council so we can update the recycling, we can update this policy. After we don't accept TV. Where is it? How do you don't accept TV? There is nothing telling the public that you don't accept TV unless it's going in our policy and our bylaw. So we have to review. Thank you.
Update the fee schedule. All right. Port Simpson Chamber of Commerce Shop first 2020, that's a territorial initiative. They're allowing buy local in all the different communities in the north. It'll be September 1st. They have a stamp on your card, and you fill up all the stamps for a prize. I think it's based on a $25 purchase. So if you purchased $100, you get 4 stamps on your card. Maybe when it's filled up with 10 stamps, you send it in. The gift promote buy local during COVID, support local businesses as much as possible. And it would work even for people coming from Yellowknife with their cars, coming to Fort Simpson, they get it stamped with a Fort Simpson. Participating retailers would have a sign in the window encouraging buy local. Deputy Mayor?
Just to verify, you're saying that I can get staff here or in here?
Yeah, you can get it stamped in any community where you see a sign saying they're operating that contest. And so hopefully there'll be a lot of businesses participating. I think it runs till maybe the end of September or October. I think it runs till maybe the end of September or October. But they're trying to make it a little bit of a marketing day here. Shop local day, September 1st. It isn't just the one day. I think it spreads out over a month or so, but it's just to make it a civic day, sort of, to highlight that this event is happening and it's ongoing. If you want, I can sign the proclamation of shop. I went to the Chamber of Commerce meeting where the NWT Chamber reps were discussing what they were doing there, and it sounds like a reasonable idea. Supporting our local businesses. It sounds like a reasonable idea. Supporting our local businesses. All good? Update. Ben, you want to update us on any potential trail with after I had a discussion with the Minister of Infrastructure, Katrina Knockleby. She had some staff, an assistant deputy minister, some local people with their department. Anyway, we had our own meeting at the our engineer, Oliver, went over some of the unit prices and costs, and I believe for the department to go ahead and do lift the gravel and 2 layers of chip seal down Pencil, the second intersection where Kazon Crescent comes out by Walter Blondin's house there onto Texas Trail. I think it's gone for approval. There was some discussion of being able to do it just in-house using. I think there's always like little last minute things that are popping up. And I know I have to talk cost of, because it is their road in the end. They were making a point this afternoon about the fact that the gravel may not have been included in the price that was discussed on Friday afternoon, and that could potentially cause a complication. So maybe see what the what the minister says. And hopefully that will be very quick, will be done. It's done, hopefully. Yeah. Yeah, I was more positive on Friday, now I'm not quite as positive, but we're gonna see. And some work has happened on that road already. I did see some of the crushed gravel going on the road. Later, our lift is on that road right now. So. All right, other than that, I had a mention of a couple things we should be aware of. And that's, I know we did talk about the McKinsey Rest cul-de-sac area there, and I don't know, I think our engineer's gonna look at that area. But driving around town, I was reminded of the area just at the very, driving around town, I was reminded of the area just at the very end. And there's a little stretch there where it was dug up in the past. And to do sewer work, but that's been several past. And to do sewer work, but that's been several years since that work happened. We had to dig up the asphalt. And I'm just wondering if, and I haven't seen them put any crush on that or anything, and I think we should take a look at that.
Okay.
We should take a look at that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right at the very end of Main Street. Just as you pass the very end of Main Street. Just as you pass Ted Grant's house, and yeah, it would look odd if it didn't hit that spot. So that's a last minute thing. It's easy to overlook because when you're driving around down there, it almost looks like paved or it isn't. But it isn't. It's just so hard packed and everything right now, you don't notice it. But it's gravel and dirt there. But it's just gravel and dirt there. Issues that the councilors see around town? The councilors see around town? The driveways are being done right now to level up with the increased height of the road. Councilor Hassan?
Thank you. Aside from they don't. They don't go.
Right. There was one thing that we didn't talk about, if you wanted to, go over a couple of things. I mean, we had the discussions about four-wheelers and speeding and along Antoine Drive, maybe up like 99B Avenue, next to the water plant. You know, that's not a very wide road. There's also an area, I forget the name of the street, but it goes around behind them. I don't know if there's other places, but we should have kilometers. They're only just short little distances, but we got fences for duplexes where kids are staying. It's the fences make it, you have a very short time period. Just because it's a skinny road, it's like an alley, almost more than a road. So I think we're gonna have to look around at some of these areas in addition to thinking of this one speed limit for everything, which would be considered 30 kilometers. I don't know if administration's been looking at any additional signage in the way of some of these areas yet. For that, as they can for just the speed limit in general, there's nothing that says they can't do that. And if people want, we'll RSVP to start doing more enforcement of speeding in the village. It becomes really important around school time. More kids are out and about, crossing roads. So maybe that's something I could pass along to the sergeant here. In the meantime, while we're considering doing different changes to
This morning at 5 o'clock, it started, but
kids or arson or anything like that. Just yeah,
started again.
yeah. I don't know all the details, but I just think that it was an accidental fire, from what I heard. With public works, maybe could look around at the community. It goes around there, really bad. Not made any better by the hospital that kind of limits over. There's other fences. Again, it almost should be a one lane. Maybe take a look at that in terms of our other streets. I'm concerned. And even looking at whether the thing like that, is also
There's a lot of vehicles go through the where we see it, there's such a real road that there ways, more for ambulance or.
of space there. And you have an elder walking. Of housing is
Maybe that could be 20 driving through there.
Yeah, it's definitely not a throughway. It shouldn't be anybody other than the people that live there or Councilor Citizen.
Just the you start looking at the actual, what it takes to actually move that water around, lines in a modern, normal community. You know, there's places like Yellowknife where they have to. I'm just wondering, what is it going to take for us to take the step to get water infrastructure improved and into consideration of fire hazards, right? There's no service up there. That's a serious safety thing. The quality of the water and all the water tanks is a known factor in causing a near epidemic. We were touring the water plant the other day. The guy let us know that it was dangerous. It causes carcinogens building up in the dirty tank and stuff like that, right? So there are these major stumbling blocks to our development. Where it's standing water, standing in a tank. So I'm just wondering, maybe that is regarding community planning, maybe that's time, for those areas in the water community, like this whole business of water truck delivery, and people have gotten used to it in the NWT. Right? We're used to second world conditions. Right? So we're accustomed to second world conditions, living in a second world country, world conditions. Why? We pay first world taxes.
Yeah, I think
We're dealing with the cost keeps going up, it keeps skyrocketing, and our services are just staying the same. You look at a community like Fort Smith, all of the roads are paved.
water for safety.
And water's number one, right? Number one. So, that's something I think we need to look at more.
We do have a set amount there for looking at the potential for bringing water up the hill in one form or another. I think what needs to be done is some kind of terms of reference for what an engineering firm get. There are other options. Up to a bigger water tank on top of it. hill truck that delivers water just has to go back and forth to that tank instead of all the way downtown, all the way back. And you've got a big reservoir of water up there for any fires, perhaps. You run temporary water for summer use in people's yards. Maybe they could use it to fill their tanks as well. And then in winter, you blow the lines out. Maybe there could be all kinds of different ways of delivering that water. There's the full blow and full cost, and then there's maybe other options leading up to that. But that's in terms of reference. What do you want an engineer to look at? Water, sewer.
I think it should be more than that.
Water, sewer lines, stations, everything on the hill. But there are probably different degrees and different size projects that we could be looking at.
The other thing is, wells, you know, I just know in Whitehorse, for instance, everybody's got a well.
No, well, we can go back.
Yeah, so there's
Capital plan.
Yeah, and maybe we could ask Ben, how much money there is.
The capital plan money that we get $900,000 a year. And then for gas tax, we get $580,000 a year. So we can only do big infrastructure improvements or new infrastructure of that magnitude. So if the federal government doesn't come out with any infrastructure development for communities, it is going to be very difficult to get money from anywhere to do such a huge project. So at the moment, our hands are very tight, our capital monies are very, very small. So
delivering water with the trucks.
13 million. Oh, you mean delivering?
What's the cost of
The cost.
delivering all the water? I can't be cheap either.
Yeah, that is not up to 500,000.
It's not 500,000 a year to do that, to do all the water delivery.
Yeah, because we got
The bills, or is that just actual what it actually
we
costs?
get $133,000 for say $1.3 million for water and sewer. Operating maintenance, operating costs. That's the budget we get from MACA. And then our budgets, we get about 1.5 million. So with water and sewer alone, we get only 140 water treatment, take care of distribution of water to the off island. So we're looking at, and we can use that only for water, and when there is breakdown, it's like we have to.
Must we make more money?
Yeah. So what has happened is that we want communities to apply for money for this particular project. Like for example, what we have is the project at the Antoine Drive. Capital we got from federal government called Clean Water, Clean Water. So that was a $4 million project that we did. So
More money then,
yes.
right? Because there's get more money. I know that. I know that. Here's the thing: is that our non-essential community has been on the back burner, and we've been just living on stuck here in the howling wilderness. You know, this non-essential community really only wants first world living conditions. The clean drinking water, access to clean water. Those are the with you. We're struggling for our survival in the middle of the wilderness. Trying to eco a living with the short change, and we can't figure out how to get enough money, take the next step to get the running water to these houses. You know, I mean, that's what I'm saying. We undertake a lobbying effort. If we need to stop, what do we have to do to get on the federal government's neck? To get the MP's attention? How do we do that? We need to make a considerable lobbying effort in order to somehow to do better. We've got to do better for out there. We can't just live like this. These trucks coming and going and all that. You can get used to anything. You know, people will get used to anything. That's proven. Bad conditions, in fact, that they will think that those conditions are normal. Even though there's substandard conditions. You know, I mean, there's people who live out in rural areas, but they've been getting well.
I think getting water, I think getting has got to be to grade 2 feet in the ground. And you can simply blown out in the winter. And then you can fill up a water tank up there and have it self-feeding through to all the people up the wildlands. I mean, there are options. I'd like to hear an engineer come up with some different proposals and costings for different options, just so that at least future councils, maybe us too, can start to look to a future where, rather than having to individually go around house by house every day, maybe that's a more economical.
Blasting through bedrock, right in yellow.
But I here to give us some kind of alternatives for water off island. I think you might as well forget about sewer. But to in a plant, just so that people in Fort Simpson know, well, here are the options, here are the costs, and you know, sure, the government has $5 million to give us, and it was economical. Maybe it's something that in our planning, because we're talking about it, we're not sure what costs there really would be, what savings there could be. That has to be looked at, cost benefit of such a project, and what does that project look like? I could central collection point up on top, but if you want to get that information, that's in terms of reference, that's what a council committee would come up with, and then Fort Simpson, you know, the capacity of this water system to different systems and cost of maintaining them, usability, how much savings we could see over the long term, how long do these systems last, what type of water pipe we. It's endless, so I think you tell a consultant, give us the cheapy version, because really we just don't know, right? We talk about it sometimes, but as the deputy mayor said, let's do a study.
You know, it could be that for the public works committee to talk further.
Yeah.
And everybody's invited to those meetings.
Yeah, and then if the will is there, you come up with the terms of reference and yeah. Well, step forward, right? Priority. All right. Well, we hit on a few different topics. You can start to see that if we're gonna get anywhere on any of these things, it's almost like you need we're keeping it alive, but we're not really addressing too much. So, I don't know, maybe we'll have to try to get some more separate meetings in our committees or with some post courses of action and then call a meeting. Have councils go over some of the options and always be here for the We don't need to discuss that right now. And other than that, we can adjourn our meeting. It's 20 after 9. I don't want to drag it out too much longer. It's been quite a long meeting already.
We talked.